Hi, everyone. Welcome back into Primetime TV. We are back in the saddle again, aren't we?
We're back.
We are definitely back. Barbara Marville-Kelly here, and my husband, best friend, and superhero companion. We're on the superhero set.
Oh, wow. I don't know if I can live up to that all.
Dennis Kelly, and we are excited because sitting here, there's just such energy on the Nerd Talk set. I think this is actually our first time here on this set, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
I know, exactly. But you know what? It gives us that superhero power feeling, I guess, as we talk about our 2020 vision going into the new year 2020. In fact, I posted on Facebook today, do you have a vision for the new year? I know, we're still 3 months out. Plus, okay? We're coming into fourth quarter here soon. But you know what? It's never too early, it's never too late to get started with a crystal clear vision, whether it comes to relationships, business, personal growth and development, health and wellness, right? So many people are into health, wellness, and their work balance routine. Because so many people can find themselves off balance. That's one thing that my husband and I have pretty much mastered, because you've always heard me say, if you've been with us before on any of our shows, that time is our most valuable commodity, and how we spend it is going to determine what kind of crystal clear vision we're going to have for today, for tomorrow, next year, and many years after. So stick tight with us today. We're going to raise a lot of awareness, and certainly if you're on webeamtv.com, where we live stream the shows, you can actually chat with us, and it'll be my first time actually doing that, even though I'm supposed to act like I know all of the digital age, but I don't, but I'm learning, so watch out, because I will become dangerous, right?
Boy, that's for sure.
So that being said, for those of you that maybe are with us for the first time, I just want to give you a little history on my husband, Dennis Kelly, who has accomplished an awful lot. The reason why I like to share his story is because it is a heartfelt, true story on where you were many years ago in your mid-30s, how you went on your quest for healthy aging, wellness, anti-aging, and how to really live an optimal and healthy lifestyle. And it all started with your father, who had a massive heart attack. Did you say it was age 53?
Yeah, at age 53.
So he had a massive heart attack. Walk us through what happened back then. And as we go through the show, we're going to give some tips. We're going to raise some awareness for many of you out there, because this story is pretty powerful. Because even before that, of course, we always talk about where you were when you were in high school, and we'll talk about that after you get the story about your dad, and then you'll get it when you hear this story. So go.
Oh, you want me to do it?
That would be good.
That would help, wouldn't it? Well, it all starts back in my preteen years with my stepfather, that had this obsession to prove me wrong everything I'd do, because he's jealous of my mother and myself. And that created a situation in my mind where I lost my self-confidence. Then I'd go out for sports and have the coach make a statement or two that I was one of the worst athletes he's ever seen. And of course that didn't help with the situation. And of course they had to play me in the basketball and football and baseball. They had to play me because there's only 11 kids out for all the sports, because it was in a small school in Grafton, Wisconsin. There's only 98 kids in the whole school. So we had 6-man football rather than 11-man football. And almost everybody went out, got to play. And every time I'd go out to play, you'd see everybody looking like, oh my God, there he goes, he's going to screw up some way. Then I'd go home and my stepfather tell me I was a loser, you know. And it was pretty convincing, because I was beginning to really believe I was. In fact, I did feel that I was. And then I finally found, after my divorce, I found I thought was the girl that would really give me good feelings about life and everything, because she was so happy all the time. And that didn't work out because I wouldn't dance, and she loved to dance. So what happened that changed my whole life, there's this little juke joint in Fort Myers, Florida called the Rendezvous. And the Rendezvous was where everybody on the weekend would go, because the small city of Fort Myers back then, that was back in the 60s. And the Rendezvous was the only, like I say, club in town. And everybody would go there. So one night when I was there, and this all leads up to a tipping point in my life. It changed my whole life dramatically. Just an incident. And so there she was, and she was dancing with an ex-dance instructor called Pat. And I could tell that they were hitting it off pretty heavy. So anyway, make a long story short, she broke up with me to go with Pat, because he could dance.
Because he could dance and you couldn't.
Yeah, dance. And he was not a good-looking guy, but he had all the girls wanting to go out with him.
It's all about that dance swagger, honey.
Yeah. And so I thought to myself, the only way I'm going to exist in this world now, I'm going to have to learn how to dance, because everything else I've failed at, and I want to get back at my girlfriend. So I asked my mother to teach me how to dance. And my mother and stepfather were really good dancers. They won several awards in ballroom dancing. And so I thought that my mother could teach me how to dance, and I'd go back and maybe get my girlfriend back. So, make a long story short there, she told me, no, there's no way. After trying to teach me a couple of steps, she says, you have no rhythm whatsoever. You will never be a dancer. She said, just forget about it. So that even made me more determined, because I hated myself. I looked in the mirror and I said, I don't like you. And I felt like somewhere deep inside there was something that was crying for help. You know, it was trying to come out of this cage, this paradigm that was very, very annoying and very, very unpleasurable. So anyway, I went by this dance studio, walked by there 5 different days before I went in, called the Gigi School of Dance. The reason I went there is because she was doing, at the Rendezvous, she was doing what they call a champagne hour, where she would have people come up and dance, and if they won the prize, they get a bottle of champagne. Well, I saw how good a dancer she was and how good a dancer some of her students were. So I decided to go and visit her school. So after making 5 different trips, and without going and finding the 5th time I went in, and there she was on the dance floor. She came to greet me. And I said, I want to learn how to dance. And I told her my story. She said, I'm for you, because she says, Pat used to work for me. I had to fire him. So I said, you really think you can make me be able to dance? She said, no, you're going to make me be able to dance, so to speak. And she said, if you walked in that door, which you did, I can teach you to dance. She said, just give me the passion, give me the reason, and I will make you, through you, a championship dancer. I thought, I thought to myself, that's a bunch of hooey. She just wants my money.
Exactly, and especially after all that you would hear from your family and your coach and all that, how do you get that all turned around when you've developed this false belief of yourself?
Yeah, it's what we call a negative positive. I had such disdain for my coach and for my stepfather and for anybody. People just made me feel uncomfortable.
Sure.
As a result, I had this inner quality in me that was deep down inside crying to be let out of the cage, so to speak, and blossom or bloom, or so to speak. And I think that dated back to the reason for that. You have to go way back when I was around 5 or 6 years old, or even younger. My grandfather, my father's side, And I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, more than I did with my mother and dad, because they were constantly arguing. He owned a bar, and they would stay up all night. So I hardly got to see them. So my grandmother used to read books on Aesop's Fables and the Knight in the White Shining Armor, rescuing the damsel in distress. So she had told me so many stories, and I think that was buried down deep inside me. I wanted to be that knight in shining armor.
And you are.
And what?
You are.
Well,
you're my knight in shining armor.
I don't know, but that was my imagination. I don't know if it confronted me where I am now. But anyway, so I figured, what else is there? I have nothing to lose. And after I spent all my money, she said, how would you like to be a dance instructor? Well, I thought that was really something else, because I didn't have more money. I couldn't afford any more lessons. She didn't have any other male instructors. So I said, okay. And so she said, but you're going to have to come in every night. And she said, you're going to have to read a book. Every 2 weeks, I want you to read a book on positive thinking, on success, because she said, we need to take an uncut diamond. We need to cut the diamond, then we need to polish the diamond. She said, and you need to do what I tell you to do. If you don't, then you're out. So with the urge to hate in me, really got me to really start picking up on this learning. I started enjoying the books I read, started dreaming and thinking about those things. But then there was also that other voice say, you're just walking up the wrong path. There's no way. You couldn't make it with your coach. You couldn't do it at home with your mother as far as learning to dance or do anything right. So it was a battle back and forth constantly. So anyway, after 6 months of not going to the rendezvous and practicing every night, and she left me with the keys so I could stay, I'd practice at 2, 3 in the morning. My feet were bloody, because I was going to go back and show this Pat guy and my ex-girlfriend up. So needless to say, 6 months came by real quickly, and I was ready. I was surprised at myself that I did as good as I did, and she was a great teacher. She was a Canadian national champion.
Oh my, what a teacher for you. So it was your passionate drive, right? It
was my passion to get my girlfriend back.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, when I went to the rendezvous on my debut, there was the night that I was going to really shock her, because and by the way, the dance that she loved and the dance that she did with Pat a lot was the cha-cha.
Uh-oh.
That was popular right then.
So you killed it, right?
So I thought I was ready, and I was. And when I went to the rendezvous, there she was dancing with Pat. They're out on the floor doing all this, and then she was sort of taunting me with it. That's the right word. Yeah, I guess that would be the right word, taunting me with it. So I went to the best girl dancer in there. She's a better dancer than my ex-girlfriend. And I asked her to dance. Well, she remembered me from before, and the only time I could dance is if I got up and drank a couple beers. And then it wasn't dancing, that was struggling. And struggling for the woman. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I asked her to dance. She said, no, that's all right, Kelly. I said, no, I can dance. She said, you sure? I said, yeah, I've been taking some lessons, come on. So we got up on the dance floor, and I let loose.
I bet you tore it up.
Oh my God! I had everybody cleared the floor, and there my ex-girlfriend and Pat were, and me and this old girlfriend.
I could just see that.
And we danced, and you could see my ex-girlfriend's eyes lit up, and they got as big as saucers. After the dance, she said, where'd you learn how to dance like that? So would you dance with me? Well, I wasn't a gentleman back there, so I won't repeat what I said. But that was a tipping point. That gave me just a little bit more feeling that I could be somebody. So where that gravitated into, from that tipping point, that one night of showing off and having her crawl to me, so to speak. Oh, by the way, I broke up with her because I realized now the girl I danced with was much prettier than she was anyway. So anyway, 3 years later, after starting from scratch and going through all the training process and reading many, many, many books and training many, many hours, I won the world championship in Pro-Am Tango and in Bolero.
Congratulations.
At Wichita, Kansas in 1963. at the dancing for the Arthur Murray Dance Studio.
After your own mom said she could never teach you to dance, you went home, your stepfather told you weren't worth 2 cents. The coach had to play you and had to apologize at the time to the other players that he did have to play
Absolutely.
you. And look what you accomplished because of your drive and your passion from a negative that you turned into a positive. So from that point forward, it seemed like you set yourself up for success on so many different levels with the books that you were told to read, right? Personal growth and development, right?
Right.
And those have stayed with you. In fact, we probably have some of them in our library at home.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that just kept you moving forward, moving forward. Now, the next thing that came about was your father's passing at a young age, at 53, which put you on your quest for additional personal growth and development, but in the health arena, correct?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that. I mean, was your dad sick? Was there he just keeled over? What happened?
Well, he was living in Denver, Colorado at the time, and I was living in Florida. And he was walking into the drugstore to get, according to my half-brother, they were walking in the mall to get his medication, and he fell over and died right there at my stepbrother's feet. But anyway, getting back to what happened from that as a result, called the tipping point, is the fact that started giving me some encouragement, especially after I won the World Pro-Am Championship with my student. However, even still, there was a little nudge inside of me that was saying, yeah, that's because she was a better dancer than you, my student. That's because she carried the load. Because how could I possibly do this? How could I possibly be from there to here? That was in the back of my mind, along with, no, you are good. It's like that conflicting dilemma.
That little voice never goes away, it seems.
No.
It might get a little bit, if we're lucky, that little voice actually may become a whisper, but it's very difficult to diffuse it 100% because I lived along those same lines myself, and if you've watched any of our shows before, we've talked about that. But there are ways to get around that because in our generation, that's how many of us were raised. You just weren't good enough, but we proved them wrong, didn't we?
Yeah, and the interesting thing about it is that I kept going forward 2 feet, back a foot, forward 2 feet, back a foot.
I hear you.
And then where it gravitated from there was quite, to me, scary almost, because it went up the ladder so fast. I've become a dance instructor and a world pro-am champion, and then I ended up being a supervisor of a dance studio. Then I ended up managing a dance studio. Then I ended up becoming a franchise owner of a dance studio. Then I ended up having many dance studios. So it kept me going in an upward direction. And every time another year or another success would come, it was making that more positive, more positive, and more positive. And the only thing that really was sort of it's a negative sort of result is I am trying to figure out how to word it where it would be easy to understand. That what happened is I was so successful so fast, I wasn't comfortable with that success.
Oh dear.
I wasn't comfortable because I kept thinking, I don't deserve this. How could I possibly go from this to this to this? I mean, I kept little doubts in there. Then I got into martial arts. And the reason I got into martial arts is I was way overweight because I stopped teaching, owning different dance studios. I would do all the executive work and stuff like that, training, and not dancing anymore. So I gained 25, well, actually 50 pounds. And I went to a local martial arts school, Taekwondo school. It wasn't far from where I was staying in Norfolk, Virginia at the time. And I wanted to just lose some weight, but when I got involved in it, I really enjoyed the martial arts. And the sparring part was so exciting, the fighting part was so exciting. I started entering in tournaments. And then I used the same knowledge to become the world champion dancer, to become a world champion martial artist. And then eventually, that part of the doing it for the hate, that was my driving, that changed. Because then I reversed it. I reversed it in the sense that I deserve this. I am really, I've been given a gift from the good Lord, and now my inspiration was to pass that information on to everybody.
Exactly, and that was your tipping point.
Yeah, because then at first, for years, it was all me. It was me. Then it became more than me. It became, well, now that I have me taken care of, why don't I use these concepts and philosophies helping other people become that me?
You know, this is such a great story, and I know that we've shared this many times before, but I always like to kind of just bring it back up so that you know that, well, we've been together, we're celebrating our 19th year of our wedding anniversary next month, as a matter of fact. We've been together a little over 20 years. My husband has been in the health and wellness industry, personal growth and development, before I met him. In fact, I met him as my personal trainer at the gym as I was working overnights at the Home Shopping Network, and in my mid-40s, mind you, and I was doing the shows in the wee hours of the morning, and I knew that I had to get back to the gym and start working out again to get myself more energy and oxygen to the brain and all. And my husband was there at the gym. After my son sent me up to the gym to say, why don't you go up and meet that Dennis Kelly? And I don't know what his intentions were, but mine were to go in and get healthy until I met him and found out what he was all about and how he contacted all of his clients at the gym, checking to see how they're doing. They haven't been in a week or so. So you could tell that he really cared, and that in his life experience, he really was walking his talk. He had to learn a lot for himself, and then from that point forward was going to impart the information to others, and which we and thee do today, is to give that information. That's why we use this show as a platform to share some of the things, whether it's what to eat, whether it's what kind of exercises to do, what kind of meditation, how you can get yourself in a space of mindfulness and meditation so nothing rattles your cage. There's so many different things. And goal setting. We always do shows on goal setting because that's very, very important if you want to reach the intended goals that you want to achieve, like I said in the beginning of the hour. For the year 2020, it is critical, not just that year, it just happens to be 2020, but having that crystal clear vision, just as if you can see through your eyeglasses or the lens of a camera. We can set ourselves up for success in anything we do if we have the right mindset, we have the right heart set. So the story that my husband's sharing with you is a long process of many years in the making of the trials and tribulations. And, you know, we come out with the triumphs and all, but hopefully when we get your movie produced, you'll be able to see all the different picture frames of this man's life, and then how we both came to fruition, and we're here to share and impart all of that to you. So we have a new year coming up here in a little over 3 months, and we always like to set some intentions. And this year, we've had our crazy ups and downs. Last year, the year before, of course. But it's how we attack those things. It's how we become that peaceful warrior from within and attack all of these different things in our lives, because life hasn't been all that easy for us. And we can advance forward and talk about the Parkinson's disease that hit my husband about 5 or 6 years ago. Now you think we took that sitting down, we both were in denial and swept it under the rug. But guess what? That's where it stayed until we faced the music. And when we did, we pulled you out of the black hole, didn't we?
Yeah, you could call it the black hole. Certainly was. In fact, it's funny how when I knew I had it, but when I was really, the doctor told me that, verified the fact that I had Parkinson's, I thought that my first thoughts were, why me, God? I take care of myself, went through all this. Yeah. And I thought, no, why not me, God? Because I can beat this. Maybe I may not be able to cure it, but I know that I can make this part of my challenge. This is the biggest fight I've ever had in my life, more so than any tournament, more so than any struggling to make myself into somebody. This was the epitome of seeing how much I used and learned would be effective, because I had to be able to buckle up and use that as an advantage, which I do, because then I when I do a seminar, when I do anything that involves working with people, I let them know if we get a disastrous disease, it's not a death sentence.
No, it's not. And that's where I think people are under that imagery, because how do you say it so eloquently, how when people see other people getting old, finish that for me.
It was Deepak Chopra said that. Aging is premature commitment. When we see other people getting old, then we feel we should be getting old. In the subconscious mind, we gravitate towards that. But there was research done by Ellen Langer of Harvard University many years ago. She took a group, about 15 or 20 geriatrics, into the mountains for 10 days. The object was to do this experiment. They would have to dress like they were 20 years younger. In other words, they have to dress like people 20 years before they were there. And they gave them the most complete physical, biological marker. What's the word I want? There's the Parkinson moment. Once in a while, if you see me shake a little bit, or if I freeze a little bit, that's part of what's still left, which isn't that bad. So anyway, getting back to where I was. Now, where was I?
I love that. You were talking about what she said when people would dress like a young age.
Oh, yeah, okay. When they would dress and read newspapers, like when Floyd Patterson was fighting and fought for the championship. So the men and the women would talk about those things. They dressed like 20 years ago, and they talked like 20 years ago. Then they came back from the retreat after 10 days, and they took all the same biomarkers and experiments to see what happened with their biological age. The average, it came out that they were 3 to 5 years younger biologically than before the 10-day retreat. 5 to 10 years younger. 3 to 5 years younger, I meant to say.
That's
3 to 5 years younger. Yeah, that's a lot for 10 days.
Yeah.
Now, here's the sad part. When they came back to civilization, they regressed and went right back to where they were.
Gosh.
Yeah, because then they hung around with people that their same age that didn't go through that training.
That gave up pretty much.
That gave up,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly. So we're approaching about the half mark of our show. And in this last half hour, I kind of want to ramp it up a little bit and take it from when you started the martial arts and why you started the martial arts. And it was after your competition at Madison Square Gardens, right?
Right.
And you had taken your trophy into Master Lee's class. And I love this story because you, my friend, had to humble yourself a little bit, didn't you?
Boy, a little bit. Talk about a little bit. Excuse me. I just won the world championship in the amateur division as a black belt. And that was one of the most highlight parts of my life because it was in the boxing room where Muhammad Ali fought. There was 20-some thousand people there, and to be able to win a world championship, you would think it would take care of all the past little idiosyncrasies in myself. It did about 90% of it. However, when we got back after the trip to New York, and that was my third year there, by the way. In 1976, I ended up second place fighting. And when we fought for the finals, you fought in the boxing room. And during the preliminaries in the day, you fought in the basement. There was like 50 different rings. And at night, those of you who made it to the finals got to fight in the boxing room where Muhammad Ali fought. And of course, that was a great honor. So in 1976, when I went, I got disqualified because I broke a guy's nose. Ouch. Not on purpose.
I know.
Then in 1977, I won. In 1978, I won even more conclusively. I fought all day long, and nobody even scored a single point. And that was, to me, the greatest accomplishment I've ever made to that point.
Especially after those little voices in your head.
They were very, very little.
I could tell.
So then we get back. I thought I was really the cat's meow in a sense. So we get back to the school, and a week later, his wife and he were having this wonderful get-together of all. There was 5 other fellows in the school that were black belts that fought in different age divisions, so I didn't have to fight anybody from my own school. And anyway, there was over 100 people there. It was this very special night, and the wife's master, she made the special uniforms, purple uniforms, gis, for us, for those of us that won first places. So anyway, our master told us if we ever want to bring our trophy in, we need to get permission. So I didn't ask him. I figured I could bring it because I was his star fighter. I could bring the trophy, and that way show everybody how great I was. So he's up there talking, and I didn't think he'd mind because I'm sure he was very proud of me. He seemed to be. So I'd go around showing everybody a trophy, and he called me up to the front of the room. I thought, uh-oh, I think I did something wrong. And all the other fighters there, they told me, if Master Lee ever asks to fight with you, spar with you, he wants to teach you a lesson, don't ever do it. Find a reason not to. So I didn't think anything of it because he was about 60-some years of age at the time, and he never moved fast and moved hard. He did everything slow because he was teaching us. I thought that's because of his age. So anyway, he called me up to the front of the room and said, you don't get permission to bring trophy. You insult your master. Now I show you this baby. And the other black belts started making a circle. They knew what was coming because I was only in that school about a year. I went and transferred to that school because it was the toughest training school in North America. From what everybody said, he trained the best, and he did. He had many reasons why he was better than any other master, Korean grandmaster. So I went up to the front of the room, and he said, you think you're good now? And I bowed and said, yes, sir. He said, I show you're just a baby. I thought to myself, does he mean he's going to spar with me? Sure enough, he had me get up into the center of the ring, and he said, get in your fighting position. I got in my fighting position, and he says, and looked at me, and he's about 5 feet from me. He looked at me, and he smiled, and he said, you don't blink now. I thought, does he mean if I blink, he's going to score on me? I must have blinked because I flew through the air, hit the wall, trophies fell off, the plaques fell down on the ground, and I think I'm going to die. I couldn't breathe. It was so fast, I didn't see it coming. And he laughed, everybody laughed, and he grabbed a hold of me and shook me so I could catch my breath. And he said, now, you know what it's like to fight a professional. I thought to myself, this is crazy, this man's 60 years old. And I just beat the finest people in black belt division in the world, in the amateur division. So that was the difference between a pro and an amateur, was a mile apart. So the first thought to come to myself is, I'm going to find out what his secret is. That was the way I progressed, as I would ask a lot of questions. And I asked him, I says, I want to know how I can be like you when I turn 65. I was 39 then at the time. And he said, you won't be interested. He said, because you people in the West are interested in your cars and your homes. He said, this takes a lot more than just what you've been through. That's why I don't teach this. I said, no, I want it. I want to be like you. And I kept bugging him about it. So finally he said, okay. He asked me to come in on a Saturday. And we got there at his school. And he put on a record. Back at then we didn't have CDs. And they put on a record for soft music. And he said, now I show you what it takes to be a world champion. I thought, what is this? He's putting on soft music? What in the devil is he going to do with me? And he started doing these beautiful slow movements. And they're just, choreographically speaking, they're beautiful movements. And he said, this gives you the balance between being a world champion and being an amateur. He said, but most people, and that was Tai Chi. Mm-hmm. See, his wife was a Chinese woman, and she owned this novelty company, factory, and so he didn't need to have a lot of students. His school, he didn't charge us. It was for free.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And but we had to pass all of his qualifications, which was killer. Mm-hmm. So anyway, this is what I had to learn, which the art of Qigong and Tai Chi, because that way, and he said, I want you to become a healer. And I said, well, I don't care to heal people. No, you're going to have to heal yourself, because to be a professional, you have to go through a lot harder training than you've ever been through. So I want it. So he spent some time with me alone, working with me, and working with the Qigong and Tai Chi. And then I became a Grand Master of Qigong and Tai Chi, and eventually I was the oldest man to win a world title. I eventually became my master. Now,
right.
if he asked me to fight him, he'd be about 90 years old right now. If he walked in there and said, fight him, I wouldn't fight him.
You learned the hard way.
He would still kick my butt. But, you know, you're not a great Grand Master until you can train somebody else to be a Grand Master.
And you've often said that you want, who you train, you want to be better than you.
Yeah, yeah, that was my goal, to train people, and I did. I've trained some people that are better than me.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't care about mentioning that. And that was a great attitude adjustment. That changed my whole... That tipping point all started back with that dance at the rendezvous.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just like shows you if you put your mindset. It taught me that inside of all of us is a phenomenal power. And most people don't experience that power. They give it up because they don't believe they have it.
That's right.
That's
right.
Power is called Qi. It's actually called Qin. Qi is just part of it, but then the whole complete, the soft and the hard mix, is called Qin. And Qin is a power that very few people ever experience, because you have to train hard to get that kind of power.
You do, and I think we're in an age now where people are really... A lot of us have already been there about the Qi energy and frequency and all of that, but there's still a lot of people that are coming on board that are facing the fact about the energy beings that we all are, and how our lifestyle, how supplementation, how just very different modalities that are alternatives to your conventional therapies and healing and things of that nature has really brought us to the forefront of aging well, and when we're faced with challenging health situations, such as you with the Parkinson's disease, you with the melanoma, me with the broken wrist and the torn ACL and meniscus, right? A year ago, last month, guess what? We were able to bring ourselves to a better, healthy state of mind because we've been taking care of ourselves for all these years. We know about the Tai Chi and Qigong. We certify, you certify professional instructors. We do the Tai Chi, Qigong, still teaching. You're still teaching at age 81. Right? I'm a certified instructor. I'm not teaching because I'm doing all these other things, which I love and all, and I attend your classes when I can and I'm able to. And the reason why we love to share this whole story, and we have people working on hopefully getting a movie made of this story so that we can motivate and inspire the other generations that are out there and see that there are so many different things we can do, like when we discovered and had to face the fact with the Parkinson's disease, because we've been in a pretty healthy state. Neither one of us could believe it. My husband received 9 grants from the Parkinson's Foundation to teach Parkinson's patients, and then he ends up with this crazy thing.
Power of suggestion, probably. Anyway, I got one more story that ties into all this before I forget. It was 3 years ago that I came out of retirement to fight again at 78 years of age, actually going on 4 years ago. And the battle was, or the tournament was held in Orlando at the Coronado Hotel. And they're coming from all over the world. This is a world championship. World's largest sanctioned event. The world's largest. So at 78, I came out of retirement and fought in the 60-year-old division with Parkinson's disease. I mean, I was trembling. They could tell I had Parkinson's disease. So the funny thing about this tournament is, in 40 years, I've been fighting all over North America. And every major city, they would have a world championship tournament throughout the year, and I would travel and fight in all these different cities. Well, I had won a first place in almost every city except one. That was in Orlando, the U.S. Open. I had fought there for actually close to 30 years, and won second places, third places, and never could win a first place at the Orlando competition, the U.S. Open. So here I am now with Parkinson's disease, and unless you have it, you have to understand everything you do. Then you have to do it takes twice as much effort, twice as much effort to talk, twice as much effort to exercise, twice as much effort to do everything. But that's all right, because if you learn to live with that, it's actually a plus factor, because then you can show other people and be an example. So that was my purpose, was come back out of retirement. And I didn't really expect to win, even though I thought about winning, because the main thing is just getting in there to see, here's somebody with Parkinson's disease, give me another platform to stand. So if I can do this, you can do this. That's the reason I did that, not to win another trophy.
I know, our trophy room
that, believe me, I got
full.
rid of that kind of attitude when my instructor put me through the wall.
Exactly, he humbled you
because
about
he said,
that.
I kick you lightly, you hurt. I kick you half kick, you die. I kick you a full kick, you go through the wall. That was his, going back to that. So anyway, that was of all things I'd done in my life, that was the greatest thing, because remember what happened after I won? They knew I had Parkinson's.
Oh, my goodness.
My trainer told the judges, and they knew I was 78, and everybody else was 20 years younger than I was. And we had people coming from all over. It took us an hour and a half to 2 hours.
We couldn't get out of there. We were mobbed.
They wanted pictures. They wanted pictures of me with their son and selfies of themselves. And
they wanted to pray with you?
They wanted to, pray. We even got down and prayed. I mean, it was the most wonderful experience.
Yes.
All these years of struggle and working came to that conclusion. I could never replace that with anything.
No.
All the trophies I ever won, all the money I ever won, all the things that I've ever done and accomplished couldn't even come close to what I felt that moment, that day. And you were with me.
I was
My
with you
trainer
that
was
day.
with me. My sparring partner of 20 years was with me.
Yep, Lee Burgess. Shout out to Lee Burgess. Absolutely. And he's been with you for, my goodness, 25 years, something like that?
We've been sparring partners for 25 years.
Yeah.
Well, actually 23.
Exactly, and he has a school up in Spring Hill. If you guys are up in that neck of the woods and you want to learn any of the martial arts, get with us. And, going back to all this, it just brought you through to the current times that we want to help share with others as they're setting their 2020 vision, because it seems to me every time I hear this, you had to have a crystal clear vision of exactly what you wanted to accomplish, right down to actually imagining the colors of the trophies, and it actually worked, remember?
Absolutely. The key, there are 3 words that that are the most important words in the English language as far as I'm concerned. Those 3 words tell it all. Thoughts are things. Just ingrain that in your mind. Thoughts are things. What you think about, you bring about. So knowing that there are 4 laws, the law of creation, basically, the law of attraction. And the law of attraction, everybody does every day. What you think about, you bring about. So you're attracting different things. Some of the things you want, some of the things you don't want to attract. They're bad.
And it depends on your frequency.
That's right.
It depends on your energy and frequency, whether you're at a high level of frequency, attracting the positive things, or you're at a low frequency, attracting the not so positive things. Do you know, I think I attracted you because when I met you and so quickly fell in love with you, I said, I'm going to marry that man. But I didn't propose, he did. I just thought
that was fun.
I just thought I'd throw that in there.
That was all right.
But you know what? It's true. And as we're getting ready to wind down our show, we probably have maybe, here we go, about 13 minutes or so. I just wanted to get into our vision for next year. And I wanted to share this history with you because, like I say, life has not been a bowl of cherries most of the time for us, and many times we've felt like we've been in the bowl of pits more than the bowl of cherries. Okay, but it's how you get out of the pits, right?
God given us the tools to grow, and we had to grow.
Absolutely.
As soon as we get satisfied with the way things are, it pulls the rug out from under us. But that's the purpose of that, is to help us grow. Because you're like Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, said, if you green, you grow, you ripe, you rot.
Oh, boy, isn't that the truth? And, you know, you've often said in many of our seminars, workshops, and even in your book, which I didn't even pick up yet to mention, And not that we're trying to sell this. I mean, this book is like back from 1996 when you came out of retirement this time and took another championship, The 6 Steps to the Fountain of Youth. And this book is still a manual for many of us today because it's really getting back to basics. And if you could set a timer for Mondays live at 5 on webeamtv.com, you're going to hear the latest research, because we research the research, we research the researchers before we ever tell anybody about anything. And it's the last few minutes we have done some really serious research in, I would say, gosh, and some of the things that we're doing that we're not divulging yet.
A little bit of quantum physics mixed in.
Yeah, and we're not letting loose yet because we want to continue to get the results that we are getting, and you'll be hearing about it every now and again. We'll be talking about some of the product research that we've done and the benefits, the features and benefits that we've acquired before we tell you about it. But I will say this, following a basic protocol of being positive isn't, you've often said many times that some of the positive thinkers have ended up in the asylums because it just didn't work for them. And there's a reason.
More people in the asylums than any other philosophy out there, because people are positive thinkers and they practice this, but things don't change. They say, then they really feel there must be something wrong with me because it's helped all these other people and it doesn't help me. It's positive feeling, because we're more wired for feeling than we are for thinking. Some people do this by accident, but if you really want to be a success, realize the law is that if you can develop the ability to feel good most of the day, your frequency being high, because everything is vibrations. Things are always moving. There's the atom has electrons going around the speed of light. That's what, like, for example, I can see you because your electrons are going fast. Like, you ever take a bucket when you were kids and water and tie a rope to it and swing it?
Oh, yes.
It just shows it's all solid. It's all solid. There's no space in between. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, that's really not you. That's a little electron swimming around there at 180-some thousand miles an hour.
Well, I'll tell you, this show's been very enlightening for our viewers out there today, and we have so much to share with you. I'm just going to brag a little bit more on my husband, because not only is he a 6-time world martial arts champion, many of you get Channel 10 locally. He's been on there in the collage of people in anti-aging, real people in the community, and that's been running for a good couple of years. People still come up to us and say, I saw Kelly on Channel 10, and they did so much great coverage when he won at age 78 because of the crazy story. 78, overcoming Parkinson's? Are you kidding me? But he's also a certified personal fitness trainer, a certified sport nutritionist, and he's a certified heart math professional trainer. And if you look at Heart Math Institute, you can see it's a not-for-profit organization. It's in all of the departments of the military, and that is basically the mainstay of our lifestyle, and we teach others how to live a heart-centered and a heart-empowered life, which allows us to stay in a higher frequency level, because whenever we do anything, we want to see the clinical studies, we want to see the research that is done, and we want to know about the science. So when my husband went to the mountains at Heart Math Institute, all that happened. Everything happened that we always look for before we tell other people. We don't just make things up and say, oh, just go live a willy-nilly heart-centered life. No. We have documentation that stands behind all that so that you know that we're credible, that we have the integrity when we impart this information. And we do this with people. I mean, we have our 1-minute stress management program. We sold that out on the Home Shopping Network a number of years ago. It works. Imagine sitting at a light or, having somebody screaming at you in your face, and you can just pull back and go into your 1-minute stress management. It works. And what it does is it changes frequency level. And that's what I wanted to leave with you guys today before we leave the show. How much time do we have here? Let's see. We've got what? Less than 7 minutes, about 7 minutes or so. Can you give us that 1 minute, the 60-second for our viewers out there today?
Well, the biggest problem is stress. The challenge is stress. because if you really want to be a master of your life, if you really want to be successful in the sports and in whatever endeavor you want to be successful at, the key is to become a stress master, being able to control stress. The best explanation I ever heard of stress is when in the day's events do not meet up with our expectations and we fail to manage the results.
Excellent.
When the events today do not meet up with our expectations and we fail to measure the results or take care of the results. That to me is one of the better stress management tools. Then I didn't finish my topic on the 4 laws. That's the other thing, understanding the 4 laws, that the law of attraction was the one that I explained. We attract these things, what we think about, we bring about. Then once we pass that law and understand that law, then you go to law number 2, the law of deliberate creation. Then, oh, well, I can get what I want by thinking about it, but then there's a lot that goes with that because you have to get passionate about what you're thinking about. You have to go and look at like it's already happened. Like if you are picturing your goal as a new Corvette, drive in your old car and imagine driving that Corvette, see what it feels like. Or whatever. It's the same principle, whether you want to be a world-class championship in anything, like a world-class father, world-class mother, world-class teacher. It's all the same principle. It's just staring at us right out there in black and white and color and everything, and we are too dumb sometimes to take and run with it.
We can't get out of our own way.
Yes,
So
right.
so the 1-minute stress management, just get yourself a little bit comfortable and you go from within, right? I'm going to let you walk us through that. In other words, I'm really stressed out and I want to know what that 60 seconds. 60 seconds!
Okay.
Believe it or not.
What you do is you pick a time in your life, several times in your life, that when you think about it makes you feel real good. And try to be able to feel that from your heart and soul, and it takes practice. Or that warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you look at a picture of a loved one. So when something approaches you and causes stress, whether it be for someone else, a situation, it doesn't matter. What you have to do is you got 2 minutes to come up with a replacement thought. Because if you don't do that, if you just try to say, well, I'm not going to be negative, and that's just stress is stressing, and you say, no, I'm not going to get upset, you're going to get upset. You're going to lose that battle. So rather than being affected by it, you have to replace that with a thought. So we got a negative thought. So here you got this thought about this wonderful time that you think about. It makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. And you go to that thought and you penetrate that thought into your heart and soul. And then at that point, what you do is see if it's working or not. And if it's not working, then do it again. Pick another thing to make you feel better. And that all can take within 50 to 60 seconds. You can still come up with a formula by practicing that. Practicing on mundane things that aren't very tragical or very big, so you get used to it. Then when somebody tries to upset you or you get upset about something, you got 2 minutes to replace that with a positive, caring thought. Because if you don't, in 5 minutes, it's too late. Then you release all the bad stress hormones that prematurely age you, gives you wrinkles, gives you heart attacks, and so on. So the key thing is you got just that short period of time to replace it. And we got 2 minutes to replace that thought with a positive, wonderful thought. That can lead up to where you reach a state of imperturbability where nothing can rock your boat. Nothing can sink your dreams. Because even myself, even though I've made every single goal except one, and I'm still working on that goal, the movie.
That's right.
And I will have that movie, whether I'm dead or alive. It will be a movie called Tango Man. And that's the last of all the cells that were going towards getting all what I wanted and accomplishing, and then coming up with this last big one to get the message out. The purpose of me wanting a movie is not an ego thing. It's because I want to be able to share this knowledge with so many of you out there that need it. You need the help. And the key thing is I become an eclectic of eclectics. So I saved a lot of years by learning from the people that knew better than I. And sometimes your own family are best teachers.
You know, that's so true, and I really appreciate you sharing that with everyone. And that's one of the reasons why we do this show here at WeBeamTV.com every Monday. There's sometimes where you don't attend the show, and we do our Women Unscripted show, or we actually have some shows where we bring some entrepreneurs on and talk about products and services and things of that nature. It's just a great way for us to raise the awareness in what's happening in our community. And if we can take some different segments from my husband's movie, movie and share what it took for you to get out of your own way. And if only one person is able to glean something from prime time, and you can create your own 2020 vision. We're always sharing tips on that. I have my own little thing that I do called Lights, Camera, Action, and it's just looking at yourself and envisioning yourself as if you're looking through a TV camera, a camera lens, and just putting the focus on it. And if you focus in and you're not real happy with what you see, guess what? You can focus it again and again and again until you get it right. Because guess what? In life, you can always have a second or a third take until you get it to where you are 100% comfortable. And even then, there's always room for improvement, right?
Absolutely.
So I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and I want to thank you, and I want to thank the crew here at WeBeamTV.com. Watch our shows daily, WeBeamTV.com. We have a lot of great shows, and we're honored to be, I would like to think we are honorary superheroes today on the Nerd Talk set. What time is Nerd Talk on, guys? 7 o'clock? Friday nights. And you talk about a really well-known show. These guys are recognized wherever they go. Comic-Con and Orlando and all these different events all over the United States. And so we want to help you get better in your life. We want to have you got to have some fun. Watch Nerd Talk. It is a lot of fun. We're a lot of fun, too. Next week, I wanted to mention, we have a great couple that's coming on. And this woman is a wonderful bodybuilder, and she is giving back to the community for Women's Day. And they're going to be joining us next Monday live at 5, and I hope you will join us then so that you can help us support women. I know you support women.
Absolutely.
Big time. And it's just going to be another great show. And we're also going to we might be rescheduling Women Unscripted because the girls are going to be away the last Monday of the month. So we might bring that up the fourth Monday. But we're very unpredictable. We have a lot of unscripted shows here because that's just kind of how we roll. It's more fun. It's actually kind of life. And that's how we like to share our lives with you, is living life to its fullest. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, God bless.